Greetings. This is Greg Moss with First Class Computer Consulting, and with this video we're going to set up OpenERP 7 with a Ubuntu server, and we'll use VirtualBox to first set up the Ubuntu server. Then we will go through the configuration of getting OpenERP 7 up and running. I'm going to show you every step from beginning to end here, so let's get started. First thing we'll do is we'll go to virtualbox.org, and here we'll download the virtualization software that's going to let us install Ubuntu real quickly. This version is the Windows host version. If you're running a client on a Macintosh or a Linux, you can set it up in either of those operating systems. It pretty much supports any major OS and any build for any operating systems. Another advantage of VirtualBox is that we can quickly put up this Ubuntu server without configuring any new hardware or taking up space or setting up another box, and it's already downloaded. So we will click on Run, and it brings up the installation wizard. We'll hit Next. I'm personally going to change this folder name to M because I have more space on that drive, and just take the default installations. And I'm going to go ahead and set everything up. This will go real quick. Just hit yes and follow the prompts on the screen. Now it will prompt you to install some of the device software because it's interacting with your hardware. So the universal serial bus, a network service, network adapters. Hit yes to those so that the VirtualBox can integrate with your system. So now it's ready to start. So here is VirtualBox starting out. We just want to click New, set up a new server, and I'll just call it Ubuntu. And it naturally changes it over because it knows that's the kind of server we want to set up. And I'm going to go ahead and bump the memory to 1 gigabyte of memory and create a virtual hard disk drive. The 8 gig recommended size will be plenty. Here you have various hard drive file types you can choose. We're just going to use the VirtualBox disk image, and we're going to go ahead and allow it to be dynamically allocated. This might not be the way you'd want to do it for a production installation or something that you were going to use long term. You might go fixed size, but since we want to do this quickly for a tutorial, we're going to do it dynamic, and it wants to know where I want to save it. And again, I'm going to pick a location here that has plenty of space and hit create. And just like that, we actually have a server set up, a virtual server, and you can see the system memory, the display, all the various attributes. So now we need to install our Ubuntu OS software. So we go here, and I can just say Ubuntu download, go to the desktop version here, and I'm going to go ahead and get the latest 12.10 version, and we'll just say download it, and there it starts up, and we hit save. Now this one's going to take a little bit longer to download, so I will come back once it's finished. Okay, so here we've got the Ubuntu ISO downloaded, and you just got to remember where you've downloaded it to. And we're going to then jump over to our VirtualBox manager that's running, and what you want to do is go into your machine settings, and under storage you're going to choose the empty hard drive or CD controller here, and this is basically a virtual connection to your CD player. So if you had the disk, you could put it in, but we're just going to use the virtual version here, and I'll go ahead and say choose, and there it is in my downloaded folder. And now you can see that Ubuntu is basically mounted as a virtual disk in the virtual server. So I'm going to hit OK here, and now we're ready to actually power up the server. And this is going to start the server, and it's going to tell us here that the keyboard is going to be captured because this is turned on. I'm just going to say do not show this message again, and we see Oracle's VirtualBox starting up. It's warning us about colors. We don't care about that. And here in a few seconds we're going to have the VirtualBox prompting us for the install. Now here it's going to prompt you to try it. You can try Ubuntu without actually installing it. So here we're going to though do the install, and it's telling us that we have to have at least 4.8 gig of hard drive space. It's connected to internet. I go ahead and choose download the updates while installing and hit continue and tell it to erase the disk and install. Okay, and one interesting thing about Ubuntu is while it's installing and copying files, it actually lets you do some of the configuration. So I'll go ahead and take Chicago as our location and the English US keyboard layout. And for the username, I'm going to use Ubuntu OpenERP. We won't have to be typing that a lot because this is just a demo. I'm going to use a very short password, just demo. You'll obviously want to use something more robust for any kind of meaningful environment where you'd have data that might be sensitive. So now we're going to be copying through these files. And this will take a little bit, so I'll come back to you when we get done with this step. Once the installation is complete, you're going to get a message that says it's complete, and you just click restart now, and the server is going to restart. Now, one thing I've noticed is that sometimes, especially after this first installation, as you can see, the screen kind of goes crazy a little bit. Nothing to really worry about that I've seen, but you want to wait at least until it comes up with this caught signal 15 shutting down. It seems like once that's happened, everything is pretty much written to the hard drive or the virtual hard drive. And so I think at that point, in the times I've tested this out, it's time to go ahead and just close this VirtualBox and power off the machine. And now we'll go ahead and restart it. And now we're restarting the Ubuntu server for the first time after the install, and it's a pretty quick boot up process. It's not going to take very long, and really what the next step is going to be is we're going to log in, and it's already coming up here, and we know the password is just our simple demo. You'll use whatever password you set up. Now in Ubuntu, there's this graphical interface that comes with this desktop edition. We're not really going to use that at all. What you're going to want to do is hold down Control-Alt-T and bring up the actual terminal or command interface. And there we are. And this is where we actually start configuring Ubuntu server to use OpenERP. So we're going to set up an OpenERP user. On the website, there's detailed written instructions here, but I'm going to type this out because it doesn't take too long, and it's going to allow you to kind of follow along with me and just see how easy it is to set this up. So this is the command we're typing in, and essentially this adds a user to the OpenERP system. And it wants to know the password, kind of like a root password. we can ignore this local domain service discovery disabled for this purposes of this demo. I probably mistyped that. Okay, so now it's added in a user called OpenERP. Now this is a system user, so this isn't a user that even has a password of its own. It's only going to be used by the system to run OpenERP. Next, we're going to install the PostGRES database server. So this is the command we'll use to do that. Then it's going to download the package, and it's going to prompt us anytime we use any kind of significant database disk space. It's going to prompt for that throughout the installs. So once again, this will go really quick as it configures the installation for the PostGRES. And so the next step, what we're going to do is we're going to actually switch over to the user account for PostGRES that was set up as part of that install. And so we use this command to do that. And you'll notice here that it's changed the user over. So we're basically operating as that user. Now we're going to set up the user so that you have the rights to create a database, and we're telling it right here that it is this user, and create role, prompt for the password, and then tie it to the OpenERP group that we created earlier. Password for the new role, I'm going to use demo again to keep it simple. You're going to want to remember this because we're going to need to change it later. So just like that, we've configured the PostGRES database. I'm going to type in exit so that we're back to the super user account. Now this next step is kind of long. Essentially, OpenERP does not come with all of the installed dependencies. So you have to type these in. And I'm going to drag over the list here real quick so you can see them. And so that's the list here that I'm going to have to type in, this list right there. And if you want to fast forward through this, you can, but you'll actually be surprised how fast this is going to go because of a little trick here. So we start out typing in the first one, and I hit enter, and I hit yes to tell it to continue. And it'll install that first dependency. Now the trick here is if you hit the up arrow, it's going to load the command I just typed in, and you can just back over the last part, and now I can type in the next dependency real quickly, and it's going to load that one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put these in, and I will likely fast forward in my video editor this process so it'll go real fast. Okay, we're finishing up here. This is the last one I have in my list. Now, it's possible I might have skipped one or missed one, and it'll tell us when we try to run this server if we're missing any dependencies. So it's not going to be the end of the world if I happen to skip one of those. And again, you can go to firstclasscomputerconsulting.com and you'll find the installation instructions written out there so you can see the list and not have to follow along with the video. Okay, now the next step is we want to get the latest version of OpenERP 7. Now you may already have a build that you're wanting to install, a specific one, and this installation should work with that build without changing too much of the steps. But I'm going to bring up the site that has the nightly.openerp.com, so you can always get builds here. And the trunk version here is the 7.0 versions. And I'm going to go to the nightly build, and then I'm going to go down to SRC here. And because it's still in beta, it's just getting ready to get released, but I want this video available for people. You're going to grab one of these builds here, and this one just happens to be the 7.0 alpha latest build. And you're going to probably pick a different build, pick the one for the release version. The installation should be the same. So I'm going to take this, and I copy and paste it up in here just so we can have it. And this is going to be the actual build that we're going to download inside of the command terminal. So with that in mind, I will go ahead and close the web browser and pull back up our command prompt with a Control-Alt-T, and Control-Alt-T, there we go. And with Control-Alt-T, I can now type in the command that I need to pull down that build. So we're going to use wget http and put in this build, the URL to the build here. And it'll start downloading the build. Okay, once it's finished downloading, we're going to want to unpack it. We want to unpack it into our directory that we set up for our OpenERP user. So we go here and use this command to unpack the files. Now, what we're going to notice is that when it actually gets through unpacking all of this, it's going to put them into a directory that's not named alpha latest. You'll notice as we're downloading here, it's actually putting them into a directory with the date, month, and year of the build. So that's important for the next step. So what we're going to want to do next is set the permissions on all these files so that they're owned by the OpenERP user. And that takes care of that. Now, the next step after that is I want to make a server directory to hold these files. So I'm going to copy these all over into a directory that's a little more easy to work with than this long-winded name here that I'm going to try to type out without making a mistake. So this is going to copy all those files that are in that directory over into a new directory called server. And it'll take a little bit, just like unpacking, but it's copying them all over with their permissions that we had just set up in the previous step over to a directory named server, and that'll save us from having to type out that long alpha-2112.120.06 blah blah blah. Okay, I had to reopen my terminal window, but this will pick up right where we left off. Right now we want to start configuring the server itself. We've got all the files copied in place, but we need to open up the configuration file, and we're going to make a copy of it first before we do that. And we will always get prompted when we do copy files like that for that password. And we're going to want to set the permissions here on this file to be the OpenERP, make the OpenERP user the owner of this. So it's going to once again just setting those ownership permissions for OpenERP. And we have another permission setting here that we need to put on. Now that we've set the permissions on our configuration file the way we need to just make one small change, and that's really the password that we gave to the database. So I'm going to use this command to open up the file, the configuration file. And I had named my password real simple here, was just set to demo. You'll need to set it to whatever yours is, and I'm going to hit Control O to write the file out. And it's prompting me for the name, and just hit enter to save it. So it wrote the file out, and then I hit Control X to exit the editor. Alright, if you made it this far, you're ready to actually launch the server and see if it works. We're going to have to log in as the OpenERP account because we want to run it under the OpenERP user. That's what this command does. It asks you for your password, so put that in. Now this is the command that actually launches the server. And when I hit enter, we're going to watch the server come up, hopefully. And hopefully you'll be seeing the same on your end. You'll see it's opened up the database, and now it actually says there at the bottom, you'll see running on 0.0.0 port 8069. So that's going to be where OpenERP is running. We're going to want to go ahead and open up our browser here, I think. And we'll put in the 8069 address. And like that, you have OpenERP running on a Ubuntu server. I hope this video is of value to you. There's plenty more at firstclasscomputerconsulting.com, and we will go ahead in the next videos and create a database and start actually using this awesome new OpenERP 7.0. Thanks for watching. Make sure you click the like button, and hope to see you soon.